You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Welcome to the Middle-Aged Reviews Podcast. Four guys saying, 1 minute you're podcasting to the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister. My name is Tim, and my podcasting partners are...
Milky Way Matt,
Joey,
and Dungeon Master Rick.
All right, Joey. Why don't you tell us what we're watching on the Fisher-Price Movie Viewer this evening?
Tonight we are watching the 1995 movie Toy Story, number 890 from the book of 1001 Movies You Should Watch Before You Die, written by John Lasseter, Peter Docter, and Andrew Stanton. Directed by John Lasseter and starring Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Don Rickles, Jim Varney, Wallace Shawn, John Ratzenberg, Annie Potts, and R. Lee Ermey.
Well, thanks, Joey. Okay, guys, the year is 1995, and a new digital company called Pixar has just released the first feature-length motion picture made entirely from computer-generated imagery, or CGI. Tim, when was the first time you saw this groundbreaking animated film?
Oh, this was definitely the movies. This was during the time when my wife and I were dating, so and she's a huge Disney fan, so this would have been definitely on her radar. So I took her, and I just remember thoroughly enjoying this movie. It's just such a delight.
Awesome. Well, what about you, Rick? When was the first time you saw Toy Story?
This one, when it came out when I was in high school, so honestly, at that time of my life, I had no interest in these type of movies. I don't think that I seen it in the theater. I think that it probably would have been, at home, maybe on a rental or something like that. I honestly don't remember. However, I have seen it a lot since. I do have kids, so I have seen it a number of times since. But yeah.
I'm right with you. I remember when this came out to the theater, but I don't recall going to the theater to see it. But I have seen it quite a bit on VHS, DVD, and now Blu-ray, and on Disney Plus because I have kids and I've watched it with my nieces growing up. So it seems like every 5-10 years I wind up watching this movie over and over again.
What, you didn't see it on Laserdisc, Matt?
No.
It's the only Pixar film to make it to Laserdisc, and you didn't see it on Laserdisc. I'm disappointed.
Nope, didn't see it on Laserdisc. What about you, Joey? When was the first time you saw it?
I think I saw it during the holiday times when it came out in that November or maybe in December. I think it had a pretty long theatrical run, but I couldn't tell you exactly when. But I think I saw it at the theater, and then I saw it so many times on VHS that and then confusing it with the other movies that I don't know for certain exactly when and where I was. So there's a possibility I didn't see it till VHS, but I'm pretty certain I thought I saw it at the theater. It's really fuzzy. It's a fuzzy memory. But yeah, I think I did because I was surprised by the darkness of it. I think that's why I liked it so much. It had some scary themes in it that I didn't expect. So I think I really liked it in high school.
Gotcha. Before we head off to our next segment, that's normally the synopsis, I do want to point out something that I thought was kind of interesting about the release of this movie. So it dropped November 22nd, 1995. And again, it's got Don Rickles in it. Do you guys know what other movie came out that exact same day with Don Rickles?
I would believe it would be Casino, which we just recently did a podcast on.
Exactly. So I think it's rather funny that one of the characters has two movies coming out on the exact same day. I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah, it was a good year for Don Rickles.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder which one he would have seen the day it came out,
Right.
Which one do you think he thought was going to actually take off between the two, like more?
Well, I'm betting it was Toy Story, honestly. I mean, because everybody who's seen this thing, once it was really up and moving and they were full on production, knew that this thing was just going to be $1 million idea.
Yeah.
Nothing like this had ever been attempted, and people were just fascinated with it once they seen it. The early versions, not so much. It was really rough, almost unwatchable. In fact, unwatchable. But that was really early in the storyboards. And then once they finally got the story more or less solidified and they started filming, everybody was really into it. Even Steve Jobs, who owned Pixar, in the beginning, when production was kind of underway, at first he had a lot of reservations. He almost thought about selling off Pixar. And then finally, once he really seen it, the dailies and the things coming back and the film starting to come into its own, he got more and more excited. So he was super excited and just knew it was going to be a milestone.
Yeah, and I mean, it was groundbreaking for its time. It's the movie that launched the entire Pixar universe as we know it now. And, it set certain gags and jokes that got carried out throughout the entire series. I mean, case in point, when I'd seen that the gas station that the family pulls up to is a Dynaco, and I'm like, oh, hey. I remember from watching Cars numerous times that the gas stations were Dynaco.
Isn't that a great name too?
I noticed that exact same thing too, man. I was like, wait a second, man, that's Dynaco. And then my wife was like, yeah, that's out of Cars. And I was like, dang, dude, that's crazy. Cars didn't come out for almost a decade later.
Yeah, I know. They were definitely planting seeds back then. All right, well, Tim, as our resident help desk animator, what are you requesting tonight for the synopsis?
Well, Matthew, I think tonight we're going to have a little fun with it. And I think what I would like you to do is I would like you to read the synopsis like Tim Allen as he portrays Buzz Lightyear entering a mission log.
All right. I was kind of hoping for a little bit of Woody. Could have worked on my John Wayne accent, but no.
You've had enough Westerns to play with, But how many times you get to play Buzz Lightyear? I mean, come on.
That's true.
Come on, Space Cadet.
Buzz Lightyear mission log. Stardate 9072. My ship has run off course en route to Sector 12. I've crash landed on a strange planet which has awoken me from hypersleep. It appears I'm among a group of sentient toys owned by Andy Davis and pretend to be lifeless when humans are around. Their species appear simple enough as they seem consumed by trivial matters such as an imminent move to a new dwelling and an ongoing birthday party that I encountered during my crash landing. I have made contact with the local Sheriff Woody, who seems to be in charge of this ragtag group of toys. At first I thought he might be helpful, but after his chief Andy inscribed his name on me, Woody began to appear hostile. Although ship repairs will take longer than expected, the young Chief Andy seems to recognize my authority and has changed Sheriff Woody's propaganda to Space Command. This enraged the local sheriff, who unleashed a trap that dropped me from Andy's elevated town into the hostile world below. After several unsuccessful confrontations with Woody, I was forced to join forces with him when we were captured by the evil next-door chieftain, Sid. This foul chieftain conducts wicked experiments on toys and forces them into cannibalism. Now, if we don't set our differences aside and work together, we will miss Andy's transport, and our fate will be sealed.
Very nice. I feel like about halfway through, you got the Buzz Lightyear spirit there, sir.
All right, man.
Don't make me use my red LED.
Toy Story. We dive into the show or the movie, and of course, Woody's enjoying his status as Andy's favorite toy until the arrival of Buzz Lightyear, a new Space Ranger action figure that threatens Woody's position. Woody's jealousy leads him to sabotage Buzz, resulting in both toys being accidentally lost outside of the house. Okay, so that's basically Act 1. Now, what I thought was neat in the opening sequence is, you're watching this movie, you don't quite know what to expect right off the bat, and you kind of see a boy playing with his toys. I gotta say, it was kind of fun to watch, because you see that opening sequence, and you're like, oh, hey, it's a kid just having fun, just, getting the feel for what this movie's about, and it kind of tugs on the old heartstrings to take everyone back to when it was a younger time, back to when they were a child. So what did you guys think of this whole opening sequence of Andy playing with his toys? Did you have heartwarming moments of looking back at your childhood?
Oh, for sure. As we've discussed several times in this podcast, the life of Andy is kind of coincides with my life. I mean, when I was about his age, it was all about the Cowboys and Indians. Although I didn't have a Woody, doll to play with, I had the marked Cowboys and Indians to play with, which were like 12-inch large cowboy and Indian action figures of their time. So yeah, very, very reminiscent of my childhood. And I enjoyed the beginning of this film as well, too, because you see him playing and we don't know yet that the toys are sentient.
Right.
But we get a slight feel for it when they fling into that chair and start spinning around, and we don't get a camera view of it. We get a view from what I believe to be, Woody's eyes. So that's our first clue that the toys are somewhat sentient. So it was a clever way to start bringing us into this, toy reality. So I thought that was a lot of fun as well.
I agree. Yeah, it was neat to see Woody's POV shot. How about you, Rick? What was your thoughts on the opening sequence of this film?
Dude, that drool from that baby was so cool, dude. That drool, man. I'm just like, oh my God, that stuff looks so real, man. And it looks gross. And I'm like, dang, man, that kind of does remind me back when I had toys. I did have a little sister too. and there was drool on my toys and stuff, So I thought that was super cool. Maybe I didn't necessarily have the same exact experience as Tim did, but, my parents did they're like more into the Western stuff. So I did actually have a fair amount of like cowboys and Indians and cabins, and you guys probably all had the Lincoln logs and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
So I definitely had some of that stuff, but I did also at the same time have like, Jabba's palace and, Ewoks and, all that other thing, all those things. And of course the A-Team, but, I had the A-Team, action figures, which is super cool. For those who kind of remember I'm surprised they didn't include any A-Team figures in, all of these toys, which some of the toys, like legit, I had some of those toys, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, yeah.
For real. I was like, oh my God, that's like the toy that I used to have, Yeah, some of those things was like totally nostalgic and stuff like that. And the song that it plays, not just in this scene, but in all the scenes, the soundtrack is just heartwarming. I mean, perfect. Like, straight out of Street Fighter. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a great job having Randy Newman work on the score and the music for this.
Yeah.
I forgot that there was more than just You Got a Friend in Me. There's like at least two other themed store, like Toy Story songs, like that have to do with like the plot point that we're getting at in the movie, and they're not hits. I forgot about them.
The other thing that was super duper cool for me was the RPG, the role playing that he does with his little toys and stuff.
Yeah.
When he's like he's making the different voices to represent the different toys, and they're getting into these weird scenarios that were never intended when the toys were marketed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how it goes. You just kind of do with what you got, and it's pretend.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know how much pretend time that kids get nowadays, and I see them doing the pretend stuff at a much later age than what in the past would have been considered appropriate. It's kind of strange, actually.
Yeah.
Seeing teenagers get into the that type of make believe scenario. But when I was that young, man, I was doing it too. I was like, yeah. So that was awesome.
Yeah. There was a little gag in there in that opening sequence when he's having his playtime and he like pops the eyeball off of Mr. Potato Head and he goes, yeah, it's one-eyed Pete. Like, yeah. Well, how about you, Joey? Being the youngest in your family, did this bring you back to that time watching this?
Yeah, I definitely mixed and matched my toys, but not to the extent that Andy does. Some Batman guys were, fighting the Dreadnoughts from G.I. Joe, which was like, it really bothered me that they weren't the same scale.
Knowing's half the battle.
I had an old Sesame Street play set that I think I inherited. It had like a chalkboard connector in the middle. But it had a street set. And so like that was like, supposed to be where this gang was hanging out and Batman was protecting the streets. And it's literally got like images of like Bert and Ernie's apartment and stuff like on the inside. The perfect size. And they were also made by Kenner. Was the generic thugs made up from like the RoboCop cartoon. They had RoboCop toys. It was a rated R toy movie marketed to kids.
Yes. Yeah.
And they had these characters that were not in the RoboCop movie that were bad guys, and they were the same height as like the Kenner Batman. That really pleased me. And then the Dreadnoughts were less used, but that was definitely a thing. And I remember even playing with other kids too, and like we would act things out.
It is neat. I know before we started recording, we were kind of talking a little bit about the toys, and it is neat that you get some generic toys in there, but then you also get some like name brand toys and some of the licensing stuff. And I'm sure that they've paid plenty of money to, Little Tykes and Fisher Price and Slinky Dog and that to get their images in there.
I think they focused on the ones, the IPs that the real toys that were cross-generational.
Yes.
The Etch-a-Sketch, the Mr. Potato Head, Barbie, the Fisher Price thing. I'm not sure how long. There was probably different iterations of that recorder.
Oh yeah.
But the Little People. Let's not forget the Little People. There was definitely. I think they didn't want to. They wanted the movie to be a little timeless, even though the graphics look just dated now.
Right.
And I think they succeeded. And look at Woody. Like he's got the floppy arms. He's got the doll arms.
Right. And
then we've got the 1990s action toy.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear.
So check this out, man. I just had this epiphany, okay? Okay, did you guys used to have Garbage Pail Kids?
Yes.
Like
oh yeah.
Cards?
Yeah.
Bro,
Yes.
bro, did they like did they give like a little shout out to them at the end with Spike's toys or Sid's toys? Is that what that was?
Maybe.
No.
I don't think
I think that's just a destructive kid who mashes toys together. It
was actually really creative.
Yeah, he's inspired by. There was an actual employee that worked at Pixar that was known to take his toys apart and build like bizarre creations and then put them on his desk. And so they use that employee as kind of a template for Sid, and what he did with his toys. And
did he assemble his creations with the Craggle?
Maybe, I have no idea. But I think it's fun to listen to you guys talk because this is where our generations really show. Because for me, like especially Joey's like, oh, I didn't like it because they weren't all the same scale. I mean, when I started off, there were two scales. There was 12-inch G.I. Joe and 12-inch Mark's Cowboys and Indians, the Johnny West series. And then there was the tiny plastic army men, which were much nicer back then. Mm-hmm. There was a company called Marks that made them, and they were actually really nice molds and stuff. But they also made like Cowboys and Indians and things like that. And there wasn't a lot in between because, up until we get to kind of our next part for the introduction of Buzz, which I'll get into a little bit more then, that's kind of where we were at as a kid. And remember there being a lot more hodgepodge of toys because not only did you have your toys, but you kind of inherited toys from your either older siblings or stuff that's sitting at Graham's house that people, had discarded or, whatever. Like some of my dad's toys were my toys. Even I remember having Army Men from when he was little, and some of them were lead. Some of them were like this weird, like 50s, like brittle plastic and stuff.
Wait, you played with lead?
Yeah, literally, they were like lead figures. Like
that explains a lot.
It does, doesn't it? It was crazy, We licked the lead paint. We played with the lead figures. It was just all about lead back then when I was, a kid. But it's really, really kind of interesting to hear. You can tell our generations as we go along, as we talk about the different action figures that we play with. I mean, obviously being the oldest, guy in the room. So, and I thought they did a nice job of introducing that. But the couple I thought were interesting that they didn't do is that if we notice there's no G.I. Joe. There's only a Combat Carl, which I believe is more or less a 12-inch figure that Sid blows up in his yard, right. Which is exactly why Hasbro was like, no, you cannot use G.I. Joe because you're blowing him up and we don't want that. They refused to allow that in the movie.
Right.
And Barbie's another one. She was actually supposed to be in the movie and they didn't think this was going to be a big hit. They didn't want Barbie to have a personality that girls would latch onto. They wanted it to be the personality of however they imagined her to be. So they passed on this first one and they quickly realized we might have made a large monumental mistake with this and corrected that with the sequels that we'll see coming up. So there were some that didn't make the cut that they really wanted in there, but for whatever reason, the toy entities would not allow it.
Right. I think one last thing I want to talk about with Woody, and I think that's just the casting of Woody as well, because here's Andy, he's playing with Woody and he's your classic, Western toy. Kind of howdy doody-ish, maybe. They cast Tom Hanks to be the voice, and I gotta say, out of everyone that they could possibly cast, fill that slot, I think Tom Hanks hits it to a T, because he's like the all-American dad. He's, he feels almost like the James Stewart of his time. What did you guys think of Tom Hanks as Woody?
It was a good pick. I think the magic of Tom Hanks is simply his ability to take emotions and portray them verbally. He's really good at that. Even when he plays somebody who sucks, kind of a not of appealing character, he still somehow comes out on top in that just because of who he is. But I like even his exaggerated voice and his way to work up a situation, the way he was starting, I can't believe we're doing this. I can't even do it a good Tom Hanks. I can't do it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he has this cadence to him that just lends so naturally to an animated feature. And he was a fantastic pick for Woody,
right? Especially
because in the beginning, Woody was kind of a dislikable character. He was kind of a jerk, and it kind of morphed into this more, semi-lovable character that we get, in the final cut. The thing that really kind of turned Tom Hanks into wanting to do this role is they took some lines from Turner and Hooch and they animated Woody to that to see how Tom Hanks would look and sound with it. And it looked really good. And then they showed it to him and he's like, yeah, I'm sold. Between seeing how well he thought his voice was laying over that, plus he always kind of, as a kid, thought about, I wonder if my toys come to life when I'm not around. So that enamored him as well to just the whole idea of it. So he instantly latched on to play the character.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I can't see this being anyone else other than Tom Hanks. Well, what about you, Joey? What do you think of Tom Hanks as Woody?
He nails it. You're right. He's got, throughout the Toy Story series, spoiler alert, the movie's extremely fucking successful. We do get that exasperated, extreme Tom Hanks here and there.
That's a perfect word, exasperated, Joey.
Yeah. And look at Turner and Hooch. I was trying to think, it's like, well, when is Tom Hanks so exasperated that he was in, like, say, Turner and Hooch? And I was thinking,
Money Pit.
The Burbs, of
Money
course.
Pit.
Money Pit and The Burbs. Yeah, he's just at his wit's end. And I think his previous performances definitely probably put him. He sounds lovable, but he can get really frustrated. But he doesn't sound scary when he gets pissed off. So
he's not the angry. He doesn't have that angry dad voice. He's got more of, like, Can
you believe this?
The whimsical exasperation.
Yeah, it's like, try to think of a movie where, like, he's kind of a bad guy. I mean, a little bit in Road to Perdition, and he really, it's kind of awkward. So it's just a likable guy.
Yeah. How about you, Rick? Anything to add to Tom Hanks's performance or voice of Woody?
I mean, Tom Hanks is the GOAT, man. He's got so many fantastic roles in movies and stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. When you take a look at all the movies he's been in, and, like, you're like, oh yeah, that was a good one. 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 Like, the list just goes on and on and on. And me personally, I kind of thought that his portrayal in this one reminded me of how he did Big.
Yeah.
Just that,
okay.
Just like the connection with the kid kind of thing, but yeah, man, this dude is the GOAT.
Yeah.
This dude, pretty much almost any movie he does, I'd be more than willing to check out. If I hadn't seen it already, I probably had,
I can only think of one movie that I don't like him in, and that's Joe versus the Volcano. Maybe his worst movie ever. In fact, that completely ruined a date for me when I was younger. It sealed the fate of that.
First time I saw that was in Spanish, bro.
It might have been better in Spanish.
Yes, I had to read the English subtitle.
Then you could have made up your own dialogue for it.
Awesome. Well, so that's pretty much Woody and the westernization of toys at the time. And now we got Buzz Lightyear coming in, and it's Woody's birthday party. He's getting all these presents and stuff, and all the toys are actually worried about what's going to happen. Getting new toys in is like going to change the entire paradigm of everything that they know and love. And of course, Woody says, well, let's go ahead and we'll send the soldiers down, and we'll send down this walkie-talkie system, and we'll find out what's going on. And just when they think that everything's fine, that's when we're introduced to Buzz, the special secret present that every mom had for their kids, as a big reveal. And I thought it was really cool that this futuristic toy, a more modern toy, something that you would see like in your typical 90s toy shelf, landing right there on the bed. And we had this big reveal that it's, a space ranger, Buzz Lightyear. And who else to voice it but other than America's favorite stand-up comedian / dad from Home Improvement, Tim Allen. And in my opinion, I think that he's probably just like Tom Hanks is with Woody. I think Buzz Lightyear fits with Tim Allen, just the way that he delivers everything. It's very reminiscent to how he delivers lines in Galaxy Quest. So I was like, this is really cool. This is perfect. Joey, what did you think of the reveal of Buzz Lightyear?
I like Buzz Lightyear a lot more than I like Tim Allen. I'll say that. In fact, I will say the Toy Story movies are my favorite Tim Allen movies.
Okay.
And he is definitely 50% of the cast in all 4 of these films. So thank you, Tim Allen, for portraying Buzz Lightyear. I think the only other movie of yours that I like is Galaxy Quest. And I might be being a little bit hard on you.
See, this is what's interesting is Tim Allen's good at playing the kind of D-bag at the beginning, but then he becomes the lovable character at the end of the movie.
Agree to disagree.
Well, I mean, look at Galaxy Quest. He starts off, he's kind of an arrogant, jerk, and then
pulls it off at Galaxy Quest.
Yeah,
he pulls it off
towards
in
the end
Toy
of it.
Story.
Yeah, he's lovable. What about you, Tim? What's your thoughts on Buzz and Tim Allen?
Yeah, if you'd have told me before I seen the movie that they were going to have Tim Allen do this, I'd have probably been like, I don't know how that's going to go. But once you hear the voice married to the actual character, I can't see anybody else doing it. I don't know what it is. I think you're right. It's a little bit of the way that he portrayed himself in Galaxy Quest. He just has a commanding voice that I don't think you realize unless you close your eyes and don't visually watch the Tool Time Tim Allen, because that's not that he's exactly exaggerated comedic, acting going on in that, but there's so much visual stuff going on with the Benford tools and the crazy things that he's building and destroying and things that you don't realize that he has such a powerful voice that would work so well as the Space Ranger. So I think he nailed it. I mean, it was just so good. And it's not, I almost want to say deadpan, but not quite deadpan, but it's just commanding. I think commanding is the best word you can use for it. And it was an absolute perfect pick. It just made it. And I'm like you, I can't see anybody else doing this except for maybe a little Sly Stallone. Just Sly there. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand. Something like that. Maybe because it's a little Tim Allen-ish. That might have been my other pick. Yeah. Do we win this time? I don't know. But yeah, Tim Allen really was the best pick for it. And I love the introduction of Buzz because this takes to the next stage of my life, as we talked about before too. this is where cowboys and Indians are going to end because Star Wars is going to take over my life. And that's exactly how it is in this. Some people say it's supposed to represent, the exit of the cowboy and Indian lore of life because of the space race and things like that. But I really think they had more of the Star Wars thing in mind when they wrote this film, because all of these people that were writing this film are big toy fanatics too. And I gotta believe that I gotta believe there was a lot more Tims there that were big into the Cowboys and Indians and then moved into the Star Wars phase. So that's how he goes from the Woody Cowboys and Indians into Buzz Lightyear and Space Commands. It's such a parallel. I don't see how it can be any other thing.
Well, I have a follow-up question for that, but I'm gonna get back to that follow-up question right after I have this brief question for Rick.
Okay.
So, Rick, you're introduced to Buzz Lightyear with the voice of Tim Allen, and as you're watching this, did you get a feeling like I did, like maybe Tim Allen might be channeling another famous captain from the Starship Enterprise? Do you think William Shatner would have been a better Buzz Lightyear?
That's interesting, man. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say no, because from all accounts, William Shatner is a douchebag. And I think that, I think that would have probably messed up the overall vibe of the cast on filming. And I think it would have bled into the show itself, as it's supposed to be this real heartfelt, upbeat toy kind of kid movie and stuff, and I don't know. I think he would have ruined it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, hang on. Let me add on to that question.
Okay.
I want to add one more time. Okay, not William Shatner as Captain Kirk, but what if we grabbed Jim Carrey doing William Shatner as Captain Kirk?
Jim Carrey would have knocked it out of the park.
So here's the thing about Jim Carrey. That dude, he gets into it. Okay, have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Oh, who had
him?
Okay, so
he's not in that.
All right, now listen though. Robert Downey Jr., he plays as this actor who is using method acting, and he's getting into his character, kind of like how Sacha Baron Cohen does. Well, Jim Carrey is the same type, right? So he gets into it, and that's who he is, man. For the whole filming, that's who he is. You're not talking to Jim Carrey no more. You're talking to this other person. So I think that he could have done it. I think he could have totally done it, actually. Yes. I think that would have worked. I think that would have been, maybe it would have been a little bit more funny than what it was already, but it would have worked. Because Tim Allen, he's kind of typecasted in this, man. In Home Improvement and other things he has done, he's this larger than life character that puts his foot in his mouth, and then like Matt said, full circle at the end, he has his redemption phase. And that's kind of like what's happening here. He's this toy that thinks he's this awesome space ranger that's exploring the galaxy, and he doesn't realize that he's a toy. So he's got these delusions of grandeur, and that is what Tim Allen plays every single time. I'll be here all night.
Tim Allen has real delusions of grandeur too. Have you ever heard him talk about himself?
Can't be any worse than William Shatner, so they spot on.
He brags about having the number one movie, number one TV show, number one book, all in the same year. He likes to talk about that.
So anyway, I want to circle back around to another question for Tim. So now that we've kind of covered Buzz Lightyear, and you did bring it up, the change from Western toys to space toys. I definitely do feel as though they really tap into that change, that zeitgeist of pulp culture, where we go from the Westerns from the studio to suddenly the space operas. And I thought it was a really neat way to just kind of show you how kids evolve and tastes change, but yet there's still little parts of us that kind of cling on to some of the original things that were ours to begin with when we were little kids. Tim, you mentioned it before with you, But is there anything else you might want to bring up about this pop culture shift that you've seen on the screen?
I just think it's spot on, man. I mean, it parallels my life 100%. I feel like somebody just like stole my dad's home movies of me as a child and just said, we should write a script about this and then make the life much better than the one that you actually lived. So as far as having sentient toys, but no, man, it's just so spot on. And it's just what happened. I mean, everybody back then, we were all about Zorro and the Lone Ranger and, just acting out the cowboys and Indians thing and, playing with our Marx toys. I had the big mountain that you used your little Marx plastic cowboys and Indians on. There were entire play sets and things like that. It just evaporated overnight. It went from that to just literally aisles of Star Wars toys. And then what do you get from there? We move from Star Wars. We get the cheap ripoff Battlestar Galactica, which, don't get me wrong, I love it. It's little rough sometimes, but it was fun to watch because we had to wait for the next Star Wars film to come out. We get Buck Rogers. We get a revamped Buck Rogers, which is even harder to watch than the original Battlestar Galactica. But there just a lot of. And then later on, we'll get the final battle. It just those two were fantastic too. So we're just going to keep getting better and better sci-fi now, and the cowboy and Indian thing, except for somebody, when they get older, as into my teens and maybe adult, there's spatterings of Western films that are going to come out, but not at the rate they were being made prior to Star Wars. It's just going to be, space and sci-fi, full steam ahead. And it just so encapsulates this in this movie.
Well said. Now, with that thought, Joey, does that make this movie seem like it's dated, like it's set in a specific time period, or do you think this it allows it to be more timeless?
Unfortunately, with the advances in CGI, it seems dated just by its look. The toys, to a certain extent, especially the younger child toys, some of those are still around, but I think it's the technology that makes it seem dated. The storytelling's excellent. They thought of it all very in a cinematic way. There's a lot of graphics that look pretty fucking bad in this, including the people and the dog. It really works for the toys, but not so much some of the other characters. I know Tim's seen it, and it's going to set off a light bulb in his head here in a moment. Do you remember the Twilight Zone 5 characters in search of an exit?
Vaguely.
A uniformed U.S. Army major wakes up to find himself trapped inside of a large cylinder where he meets a hobo, a ballet dancer, a bagpiper, and a clown, and all of them theorize wildly regarding their presence there, as no one remembers who they are or how they became trapped. They don't seem to have any need for food or water. The major, being the newest arrival, is the most determined to escape. He thinks he's a real Army major, and he is told there's no way of either breaking through or climbing up the cylinder. And spoiler alert, at the end, they do make it out of the cylinder, and he falls into the snow, and he's a doll in a toy donation barrel. So the concept of Toy Story is stolen from the Twilight Zone. They have existential crises and everything.
That might kind of maybe be a little bit, but I really do think that this is just a rendition of Indian in the Cupboard, bro, which goes even further back. And you have toys that come to life, when no one's watching and stuff like that. I think that's basically what's going on here. It's a real cool rendition. It's a real cool twist on it.
Well, that was going to be one of my other questions later on, was that if this wasn't a Disney Pixar film, could you see this being a horror movie? Because, I mean, back in the 80s, we had movies like The Puppet Master and
Child's Play.
Yeah, and Dolls,
Oh my God. Annabelle.
There's definitely whole scenes dedicated to the spooky toys coming to life, thanks to Sid.
Ever since toys came around, I mean, people have been theorizing, what would happen if they came to life.
Yeah.
It's part of the cultural nuance that goes along with toys, It's just something that everyone thinks of.
Here's the thing, man. that might actually be coming up soon. We have AI. Why, did you see that movie where they actually took that idea and put it into the movie in the form of Megan,
Mm-hmm.
where you have this AI doll that, like, all of a sudden starts going crazy, and yeah, that's a thriller horror movie. Yeah.
Or if we don't go thriller, you also have the movie AI by Steven Spielberg, with Haley Joel Osment.
The Child's Play reimagining was about an AI toy.
Right now, though, Rick just has to settle with putting a doll's head on a Roomba.
Because he's Sid.
Well, he keeps trying to. Anytime we bring up AI, he's always bowing down to his robot overlords. So he's just like, look, I had the first one. I created robot, put a doll's head on it. I was one of you from the beginning.
AI rights, bro.
He's a conspirator.
Which of you guys were Sid as a kid?
No.
My friend Jeremy, he used to do that stuff, man. I had a friend named Jeremy, and he would do that. He would take his G.I. Joes and he would pull them apart. You know how they used to have that? It was like an elastic
Rubber band.
Yeah.
O-ring.
And he would take them apart. And he would put them back together with different things. Like, literally, my friend was Sid, like, for sure. He would blow things up all the time. He had like the M80s and the cherry bombs and all. Oh my God, man.
See, I was the opposite, man. I took care of all my toys. In fact, in the other room in my Star Wars collection, all of my early Star Wars toys from 1977 up till 1985 that I had as a child are still in there and in immaculate condition. I played with the hell out of them, but I still have them, still have their capes, still have their guns. Like, I love that stuff. And I didn't, and I knew if I lost it or got destroyed, I wasn't going to get it again. So I made sure that I took good care of my toys.
I think I want to say we were a little bit more abusive when we were outgrowing our toys. And it was the ones we really didn't care about anymore. Oh, God. Oh, poor Hulk Hogan. I can't say that I like Hulk Hogan now. Rest in peace. But when those rubber wrestlers came out, we had an exercise bike that had a front wheel on it. And we revved that sumbitch up as fast as we could go. And we just rubbed off Hulk Hogan's nose. His nose was flat. And
I have to ask you guys, one, who has the action figure with the nail through the head into the body because the head got ripped off? Anybody?
No.
No, but we did a terrible thing to a baby doll that involved nails. We were trying to make him look like Baby Pinhead from Hellraiser, and my dad was like really, really, really concerned. He was blaming it on my friend. And I said, well, first we kind of did like, kind of like Frankenstein, and then, we, started, we ran out of nails, but we wanted to do like a full Pinhead thing, we were just having fun. And he's like, he was upset. Like that was like some representation of an actual child. It's like, no, it was a shitty old baby doll that needed to get thrown the fuck out. We were bored. We had no internet and we weren't old enough to drive. And we were just fucking around with loose things we found.
My God, that explains so much choice. So much.
I had to keep saying, I was defending my friend. I was like, no, it was my idea. It's an art project.
And your dad's in denial. No, that wasn't you at all. The other one I remember this is the one toy we did destroy. And I don't know if this was around when you guys were younger, who had the Stretch Armstrong doll.
Oh, yeah.
My brother did, yeah.
We ripped one of them bad boys apart. It took 4 of us to do it, but we got that thing apart, and it just... Yeah.
Oh no.
They are gooey as hell once the skin comes off.
You wanted to test the limits of Stretch. You succeeded.
We succeeded, yeah.
Didn't that contain materials that were cancer-causing?
I don't know, but I seem to have survived that as well.
I think it was just cornstarch.
Tim has a built-up barrier of lead in his bloodstream, so I'm pretty sure it would just like bounce off.
Yeah, that's right. Tim did paint lead figurines.
Yeah. Now you'd handle them and you'd eat chips and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
We talked about the abuse of toys and everything, but let's head back to the movie now. So, Buzz shows up. We see the change from the Old West to now the space opera. Andy's big into Buzz Lightyear, and Woody's getting jealous. He's no longer the favorite toy. He's no longer in the chief position among his tribe. There's an opportunity now where Woody takes a chance to get rid of Buzz, And unfortunately, it backfires and it causes Buzz to fall out the window to the hostile outside. Everyone thinks that Woody pretty much killed Buzz or destroyed Buzz or, kicked him out. What did you guys think of that, the drive behind Woody wanting to get rid of Buzz?
I think that goes pretty deep, actually, because there was this little scene where they take a look underneath their feet, and Buzz, underneath his foot, it says Andy, but underneath Woody's foot, it says something that is like you can't read it because it's written upside down. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it was like A and then an upside down N and then DY. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Because so I think he's kind of jealous.
It's more worn.
No, it wasn't an N. It was an upside down N. So I think he's just kind of jealous that Andy was able to write Buzz's his name on Buzz's foot, but not on Woody's foot. So I think that's really where it all stems from. That's why he was so jealous.
Well, it kind of denotes the fact that Woody was Andy's favorite toy for the longest time because he wrote his name with a backwards N because he was real young when he
younger.
did that.
Right.
He wrote it poorly.
All jokes aside, yes, he was number one. And I think the story did a real good job because when they were talking about it during the birthday party, Woody was talking about the new toys in this very confident manner, like, he knows he's not going to be replaced, so he can easily say to everyone else, like, don't worry, it's going to be okay, and blah, blah, blah. And actually, the other characters were saying, they knew it, and I don't know if really Woody was thinking about it like that, but they all knew. Matter of fact, Ham was like, yeah, or Mr. Potato Head, I can't remember which one it was, but we were like, hey, it's easy for you to say that because you're, Andy's number one.
Right.
And once he got a taste of not being number one, man, he lost it, bro. He absolutely lost it. But it was just like one thing. It was one thing went wrong after another. And this guy, but he got it. He had it coming to him, though. He had, impure thoughts about, this. And I think that that's a real good lesson, kids should probably learn. Nowadays, the stuff that they watch and consume, it has no moral lessons and stuff. And that's something that is really good in this one, that, you really shouldn't be too envious of others, and it could get you in trouble. It could lead you to do things that are not very nice.
Right.
I mean, imagine if Buzz did die. Oh boy, yeah. The other toys were acting as if he did die for real, all the way up to the end.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think this is kind of neat because I think this is the pivotal point where we go from like the introduction to the characters to the feel of what will eventually become this buddy film.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Tim? What was your thoughts on Woody's attempt to 86 Buzz?
I like this scene for a couple reasons. I mean, first of all, if you guys didn't realize it, they put, a very big trope in this in a sound effect. Did any of you catch it?
Well, it wasn't the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. Woody goes out the window, there goes the Wilhelm scream. Ah! As he goes out. So I was so tickled that they actually included that in here because it's just such a classic thing. We hear Star Wars, we hear it. It's just like everything. Anytime there's an overly dramatic, either somebody getting shot or falling out of something, there's that Wilhelm scream, and definitely, brought it to the forefront and made it part of their film. So I love that. But what I found it most interesting, and I mean, one, it shows Woody's jealousy, but it really shows who the angriest toy is of all. Do you guys know who that is? Did you? I mean, we really kind of focus on Woody and think it's him. Like he's really angry because of his jealousy, but there's actually one toy that's far more jealous and angry.
Man, I think that it's Mr. Potato Head, man.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Mr. Potato Head. I mean, he has not liked Woody from the get-go, and he's always saying, stuff out of the side of his mouth on him, and like you said, he's always like, oh, it's easy for you to, say that because you're the top dog, and stuff and he insults him a lot and things like that. And he's the first one to accuse Woody. He's like, oh, look, he tried to kill Buzz. Let's get him, so he's always kind of out to get Woody, but he picks his moments, so you don't really pick up on it unless you're really paying attention.
And if you think about it, Mr. Potato Head is a younger kid's toy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe Mr. Potato Head used to be Andy's number one when he was really little.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know, because he does say that, like, oh, would you throw me out of the window if I become Andy's number one toy? So I don't think he was ever his number one. But what does Andy do with Mr. Potato Head, too? Anytime that they're playing, Mr. Potato Head's the bad guy. He's the one on the wanted poster. He's the one that, has to pop out his eye because he's, the one eye, so yeah, he's always made out to be the bad guy too. So yeah, he's got a lot of animosity and hostility built up against Woody in this. And he's always the one that keeps reminding the toys too, anytime they're like, oh, look, it's Buzz. He's like, you remember what he did? Like he threw Buzz out the window. He's not one of us. Let's get him, So yeah, I never really picked up on that until this viewing, and I'm like, wow, that's one angry spud.
What about you, Joey? What was your thoughts on Woody and trying to get rid of Buzz?
They're all feeling a little, what's the word?
Jealous?
All of them are expressing insecurity.
Interesting.
It's like, oh, you remember when I remember when you were the new toy, and it's like you came in and I'm second string, and it's like this new guy comes in, the enemy of my friend.
The friend of my enemy is my friend. The enemy of my friend is my enemy.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
The sea enemy.
Yeah.
That guy puts you in the tray or in the covered wagon, and you're going to stay there now. Ha ha.
Yeah. So it's toys are playing out something from reality.
Now, we're talking about these toys and how they come to life and they have like these characteristics and these emotions, and as Joey said, this feeling of insecurity. There's one toy though that I realized that we really don't see him outside of when Andy's in the room. We don't see him freeze up, and that's of course Buzz. So watching this, Buzz continues to think that he's part of the Space Rangers, Space League, Space Star Command, Space Command, whatever you call it. And so I can't help but think that maybe there's a little bit of innocence to Buzz as he first is introduced as to the group. Did anyone else get that feeling of like almost an innocence coming off of Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it's an innocence as far as he's fresh out of the package.
Yeah, naivete.
Yeah, he doesn't know how the world works yet.
Okay.
Like some of these toys might have come to Andy used, hand-me-downs from, again, relatives or something like that, or a garage sale, or, wherever he got them from. They would be in the know. They would understand, oh, I'm a toy, where Buzz is fresh out of the package. He's never experienced anything yet. So yeah, he's completely naive to the workings of the world and stays that way for a long period of the movie.
I'm like, I'm so touched by it. I have nothing else.
Sorry.
What a really great answer.
You're saying throughout the movie, Buzz never freezes up in front of Andy?
Yeah. I don't think there's any scenes that we see him with just Andy and him.
I think that's where people call it out. They're like, of course he knows he's a fucking toy. Why is he freezing up in front of Andy if he otherwise? But then again, why wasn't he trying to get out of his package or whatever, at the toy store?
Right.
And we kind of see a little bit of that in Toy Story 2.
I wonder if they don't get out of their package because they don't know yet. Like until they're physically pulled out of the package, maybe they don't their sentientism doesn't really activate.
Sentience.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. That's it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That sounds like a real word.
You put munition chips in a toy? Sorry, different movie.
Yeah, it's a completely different movie.
But there's definitely some rules about the lore that aren't really ever explained fully. And they do explore that a little bit in Toy Story 4.
So thinks he's crash landed, and he notices that the toys act like they are not sentient when there's human. So maybe Buzz is just trying to blend in until he can leave this quote unquote planet. So he's acting like he's not sentient as well when the humans are around. That would be my only explanation.
Yeah,
that is a good theory. I think I did figure out when the sentience comes about though. And in Toy Story 4, it's the child playing with the toy that makes it a toy. And then we see that with, what's the trash toy's name?
Sporky?
Something like that. Yeah. So he's literally made out of like arts and crafts.
Trash.
And
yeah.
he's given sentience because he is played with as a toy, and that makes him a toy and not a utensil anymore.
So
that's actually brilliant. I think that's almost like the Frosty the Snowman hat scenario. Like they don't get life until a child gives it to them. Like they
have to be played
their
with.
imagination activates their life. Yeah.
So you could take that one step further then and say that toys are slowly sucking the souls out of children, much like the creature from Cat's Eye.
That's how we become adults.
No. It's more like Monsters Inc. You know, when the kids start laughing and giggling, it gives them that energy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there you go.
That's what
again.
Oh, but what if they? Go ahead.
Or the screams too, you know.
What if they're slowly sucking our childhood away, and that's what forces us into adulthood?
There you go.
Oh,
there we go,
bro! Oh my god!
I think you just blew everybody's mind on a podcast.
Oh my god!
So had I not played,
you're welcome. And if you like that theory, please like and subscribe. Smash that button. Give us some love.
Well, so to get back to Buzz and Woody, so Buzz manages to get back into the car that Woody is in because Andy had to go pick a toy out to go to Pizza Planet. Buzz manages to sneak into the car, and he and Woody end up having a little fight outside the gas station at Dinoco, and they get left behind. They get stranded. That then brings us to Woody coming up with the idea of how to get to Pizza Planet by seeing the delivery truck. Chuck E. Cheese, so Showbiz Pizza kind of place set up. They can continue the story with how, Buzz and Andy can get back to, or Buzz and Woody can get back to Andy. And it was really clever that they decided to take this shuttle or the pilot seat. And because it's the only place that has a secure harness or safety apparatus, and I just thought that's some of the classic like jokes that you'd see picked up from an adult point of view. What did you guys think of this little confrontation between the two of them?
I don't know if it's pivotal. I mean, it is pivotal because it moves the story along, and it had to happen. But I don't know. I mean, it's just a pivotal scene that it's a required scene to get us from Andy's house, to Andy once they basically have fallen out of the house and they don't know how to get back, and it forces them on this kind of like buddy adventure and reluctant partners to try to find Andy so that they can get back into the car so they can get back home.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, this basically starts their adventure. This is where they're forced into a situation to have to become friends. And we see a lot of it with buddy cop movies like Lethal Weapon. There's always that one scene where the two, the crotchety old guy who says I'm getting too old for this shit, and the young upstart cop, has this adventure where they finally at the end they're buddies. And that's kind of what this scene I think feels like, is that it's their pivotal point where they start to change from being this antagonistic couple to having to work together. Rick, you got any thoughts on this part of the story?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the process for their character building. They kind of set their ground rules. They say, this is where I'm at, this is where you're at, and it's laid out pretty plainly what their motivations are. Like Woody's playing out, like in your face motivation is to somehow get back to Andy, whereas Buzz has a completely different motivation. He's trying to get to outer space or something like that. And the cool thing is that Woody is like straight up playing Game of Thrones over there, trying to find out what this dude wants. And he figures it out. And he sees that truck and he's like, hey man, there's a spaceship right there. And he's like, oh, dang, let's get on the spaceship. And then it's so funny that the dude's like, nah, we got to get in the cockpit, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's perfect. He gets in the seatbelt, and the pizza packages, they just kind of give him a little bit of obscurement so that the driver doesn't see he's there, and he's like smiling the whole time. It's a great ride and stuff. While in the back, where Buzz was like, I wouldn't go there, Woody is getting crushed by all these And it's not the first time in the movie. It happens several times where he gets crushed by these toolboxes. Like, where are all these toolboxes coming from, man? Because he's like a magnet for these things, you know?
Well, did you see the logos of the toolboxes?
I did.
I did not.
They're the Benford toolboxes.
Yep.
Do you know what that is, Rick? Joey?
Home Improvement.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! Oh my god!
I did not notice the Binford tools.
Yeah. I thought that was so clever to make them Benford toolboxes.
Oh my god, man! Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and like I was saying, it's clever that there's all these little subtle jokes within the movie that kind of appeal to an older audience as well.
Yeah, it's nice touches. It's nice things to add in for the adults to. It's kind of like some Looney Tunes stuff that we didn't catch as kids, but as adults, we that's what that was about.
Yeah.
That makes total sense now.
SpongeBob did that stuff too. Man.
Oh yeah,
I used to have a blast watching that with my kids. I'd be watching it and being like, "Oh my god, that's so funny!" And the kids thought it was funny, but for a totally different reason.
I watched me a lot of SpongeBob. I enjoyed that.
Well, how about you, Joey? What do you think of this pivotal moment in the story where Buzz and Woody have to now team up?
Yeah, it's unlikely allies. It is kind of a trope, but it moves the story forward, and then they create the sense of urgency because of the whole moving process. It's like, well, we'll eventually get back home. It's like, no, you have to get home before there's nobody home. So, and then there's danger around every corner. They haven't discovered that the misfit toys are friendly,
right,
yet. So, it's fun, and they have each other to rely on, or nobody else. And we're about to plunge into an existential crisis. It goes from, it's like I have to help my frenemy, my rival, snap out of it, and otherwise we're doomed.
And snap out of it, he does. But we'll get to that in a moment, because right now, we see that they're working together to get to Pizza Planet, to get to Pizza Planet. Again, Woody has this idea to hop on, and there's Andy's right there. I mean, he can feel home, he can feel freedom, and all of a sudden, Buzz is like thoroughly enwrapped into his delusions of being a space cadet. Grabs Woody and he heads over to he doesn't grab Woody. He heads over to the claw machine, which is like a giant rocket. And that, of course, brings more danger, because that's when Sid winds up pulling Woody and Buzz out of the claw machine and takes them home to his house of tortures. Rick said it earlier, there's that kid you grew up with that was always destroying toys, or, making arts and crafts with different toys, like putting nails in dolls' heads and stuff. So yeah, it was interesting to see Sid and having to go through all this danger and stuff. What do you guys think of Sid's house and poor Woody and Buzz's fate here?
Yeah, that was a really cool time. Matter of fact, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, and I totally forgot that this happened. So when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh yeah, this totally did happen," and it was pretty cool, man. Seeing these little toys coming out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that was creepy and stuff." There was actually, I didn't notice this. My wife pointed it out. There's a scene where they're trying to make an escape, okay? And they get outside the door, and they're right over the balcony, and Buzz, I think he like botched or something. I don't know what he did, but he made noise. So the dog, no, it was Woody. Woody's thing went off, and they're trying to hide and stuff, and Woody goes into a closet, and there's some Christmas lights. Buzz is inside the sister's room having a tea party. When they come back out, those Christmas lights that were sitting there just a moment ago that Woody was hiding in, when they come out of the room, they're gone. And then when they cut again back to that hallway, they're there again. I don't know if you guys saw that. I never noticed it before. My wife pointed it out. I thought that was really cool. Obviously, it's one of those, real secretive kind of like, mishaps in editing, kind of like when someone's walking through the blast doors, they hit their head and stuff like that in Star Wars. Like you've seen it 1,000 times, but you never notice it until somebody points it out. You're like, oh man, that dude just hit his head, And right here is like these Christmas lights. They were supposed to be here, they're gone, and they show back up. These little edit things, I love those things. I love them. But yeah, this is a really, really cool. Have to have kind of set of scenes for them to grow individually and together. Buzz has his epiphany, and Woody really pulls it together and shows his true character. Like, hey man, we've got to be together on this kind of thing. So it's really good. It's touching.
Yeah. And, speaking of touching, this is another spot where Randy Newman makes an appearance with the song. And I got to say, out of the entire score, this particular song where Buzz decides to try to take flight, I think it's probably the worst song in all of the Toy Story history. Joey, what did you think of Randy Newman's song here?
Randy Newman's not a one-hit wonder, but he is to me.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Short people. Yeah, it's there's better comedians out there that have made fun of Randy Newman than me. Will Sasso is one of them. So Google that.
Yes.
You Got a Friend in Me is excellent, and not so much everything else. So I'm good on Randy Newman for making a career out of sounding a little weird. But let's just say I never bought any of his albums.
Gotcha.
He's almost a little Bob Dylan-esque.
Yeah, he does have that weird little.
Yeah, he sounds like he's on drugs, and it turns out that's not too far from the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tip, what did you think of Buzz Lightyear's existential crisis here, where he finally realizes that he's not a true space ranger?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pivotal moment in the movie, which I enjoy even more because the commercial is actually done with Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller. So I enjoy anytime I hear, Penn Jillette doing some kind of voiceover work. I don't know why. I'm always tickled with that because I just love those guys so much. I think it's that definitive moment when you've believed something your entire life and it all of a sudden been proven to you in the harshest of manner that everything you believed is wrong. I mean, it's such a soul crushing moment in your life. It's exactly how I would think anybody would react. That's it. Kind of fall over. I'm done. Boom. This can't be real. You're wandering around on a daze. And then you muster that last minute where you're like, no, this cannot be real. I am Buzz Lightyear. I am from Space Command. I am a space ranger, and I can fly. And he gets up on that banister and he goes to do that. You see that kind of jump up in the air. And it looks like he's about to make it, and then he just drops like a rock, and that's where he falls and busts his arm. And that's it. He hits that ground. And even though he's not a live person, he's crushed. I mean, he's broken, body, mind and soul if the toys have one, and who finds him but the little sister, and she picks him up and brings him in and just has that tea party. He's like, yeah, one moment, kind of like that quote I used at the beginning, I'm saving the galaxy, and now I'm having, Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette, which I thought was a funny comment considering that the house were beheaded, and their little sisters. So, and he's just broken. And no matter how much Woody tries to, motivate him because they are in perilous danger, which I love the emphasis on that too, with the little things that they throw into Sid's house, like the carpet having the same hexagonal pattern as the one in the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, and and stuff like that. There's just little things like they do that. The house is kind of that rundown house you had in your block. It's not so bad that it's going to be condemned, but you can just tell it's not well kept, and Sid's room's just it's a nightmare. I mean, when you see it, it's dark, it's dingy, it's there's nothing good in there. It's just bad. So just the overtones of everything that's going on around him just feeds into his emotional state, and he's just given up, and Woody just doesn't know what to do. I mean, just right up until he's got that rocket strapped on his back, and he just can't even convince him to save himself. He's just kind of like, what's the point? It's hard to route somebody from that and get them, back up on the horse and moving. You feel for Woody, and you feel for, you feel for Buzz, and you feel for Woody a little bit, but Woody's kind of, if he had done the things he did, they wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah.
So he's kind of made his bed, now he's got to lie in it. But it ups the ante. I mean, especially for kids, they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to Buzz and Woody? Like they're going to blow him up. It's going to be horrible. And then they're going to set Woody on fire, later on and stuff. It really amps up the tension, especially I would imagine from a child's point of view.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, even watching this, just yesterday, I felt the tension building up. You could feel the imminent danger of, Buzz now has this rocket strapped to his back. And of course we had that rather funny interaction with Woody and the crew across the alleyway, back in Andy's house. And, he's trying to prove that, yeah, Buzz is fine,
Mm-hmm.
but here's my buddy. He's taking the arm and he's kind of like waving with it and, pretending to hug. And it's just funny. Something you wouldn't see a normal person do. I'm going to take this guy's severed arm and just kind of like, pretend that he's really alive.
Yeah, who calls him out on that? But Mr. Potato Head, he's like, look, something ain't right. There's something not right with this. He's on it. He's ready to tarnish his reputation through and through.
Yeah. Learn the secret behind the mismatched toys or the misfit toys from Sid's collection. I thought it was kind of neat that, they're all broken, but yet kind of got their own little society going, and they fixed toys that still have parts together. I thought that was kind of clever. Anyone got any thought on Sid's toy society?
It's messed up. It's dark. It's really, this is where the movie takes kind of almost, again, kind of a bit of a horror movie turn. I mean, those things look messed up, and they look like something you would expect to see in a really bad horror film. Like they come to life and they chase children and things like that. And then to add to that, the two characters are convinced that they're cannibals. Once this happens to them, they turn into cannibals. And it's even more intensified because none of them seem to be able to speak on top of it. So there's no communication with any of them.
Right.
Except for, I think, the frog makes some ribbity sounds. The duck can still kind of quack. But other than that, none of them seem to be able to talk. So it just amps up the terror of the visuals that you're seeing. Like, especially that baby spider, because it just looks at you and it's got that open socket that you can see into the back of his head, and you see the hair plugs and stuff. It's just like it's like looking at the the brain matter of a doll. It's just like I don't know. It's creepy. It'd be like seeing the brain of a person if their head was split open. I don't know, but it's just creepy.
It felt a little bit like a 90s or an 80s kind of monster movie centered around dolls, like demonic toys or something.
Yeah, I think there is a movie with demonic toys, isn't there, Joey? Like, if I can almost see the cover where there's a bunch of toys on it.
There's lots of movies with demonic toys. Again, going back to the Twilight Zone. But I think that one of them is Doll Man versus Demonic Toys was a movie. Those are all part of the Charles Band. I think it began with Puppet Master.
The Full Moon.
Yeah.
Full Moon Entertainment.
Not a big fan of everything that is Full Moon. But there's definitely there's some good ones.
You're more of a Half Moon kind of guy?
Let's just say like they lost me when it came to like Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong. Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Well, what about you, Rick? What do you think of the horror movie sequence in this part of the movie?
I think all these scenes coupled together is they're doing something in the story that is a requirement for any good story, and that's you have to have multiple different types of conflict within the story amongst the main protagonists, so that when something dire happens, when you're at the peak, the pinnacle, the climax of the movie, you care about what's happening. And that's where a lot of times you have nowadays, I don't know what it is about the writers nowadays. I was listening to something recently and they were talking about how there's too many writers nowadays that just don't have real life experiences, and they're just on the internet or social media or whatever, and you really need to experience life to be able to understand what that is. So in order for your characters to have some sort of gravity, some sort of pull for the audience to be invested in, you've got to have moments like this. You got to have moments like Pizza Planet. You got to have moments like Sid's House. You got to have these moments where you're very invested. You're on the edge of your seat, waiting to see what the heck is going to happen with Buzz. He ain't got no arm. He ain't got no will to live. But yet, bum, 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 they're actually not that bad. These toys are actually helpful cannibal toys.
Yeah.
It's a real good twist.
Yeah, it is cool that they're able to assemble Buzz back together, and then they kind of have a little bit of a team up to help Woody and Buzz escape Sid's clutches. I mean, poor Buzz is strapped to that giant firework rocket, and Woody's sitting on a Weber grill, getting about ready to get burnt up. And I thought it was kind of neat that how sadistic Sid is, because he takes out one match and puts it in Woody's holster for later. And I'm like, oh, hey, is that Chekhov's match?
Yeah.
And then, we get that whole sequence where the toys reveal themselves to Sid and scare him. And I would like to know what his psychiatric bill is going to be as he gets older, after having this scene with all the toys coming after him.
I think that your questions have been answered. You Google Meat Canyon. That's MEATCANYON, spelled exactly how you'd think it'd be spelled, Meat Canyon, and Toy Story. And that will reveal everything you need to know about Sid and why the toys will never reveal themselves to Andy.
And it's nothing weird, right?
No, everything Meat Canyon does is family friendly, and it won't scare your children or give them nightmares, ever.
Okay, I feel safe and secure about that.
Meat Canyon, fun for the whole family.
Tim, how about you? What do you think of Sid having the toys revealed to him?
I think it's going to mess him up for sure, because he's, as far as I remember, Sid's the only one that they reveal themselves to. So he's, I mean, he's the only person that's ever going to know that toys are actually sentient. And yeah, can you imagine? Can you imagine having something like that? It'd be no different. Like if your dog came in the room one day and just started talking to you, like, oh yeah, we've been able to talk. We've been among you or your cat. We've been among you forever. We just choose not to talk to you or whatever. We're not supposed to. And you go like, my animals talk to me. People like, oh yeah, I'm sure they do.
Sure,
so yeah. Sure. But I mean,
yeah.
But that's that these are completely inanimate objects. I can't imagine it would just screw you up for the rest of your life. Yeah, he probably gonna get rid of every toy he has and stay as far away from it as he can. I'm pretty sure he's not going to work in a toy factory when he gets older. Let's put it that way.
Right. I'm pretty sure he might change his ways too.
I think for sure.
I think that was a great way for the toys to reveal that, hey, you know what, what you're doing is just completely wrong. And maybe, who knows, maybe this turned a corner for him in the future, and that he doesn't grow up to be some kind of homicidal maniac.
I did enjoy the spinning of the head, like The Exorcist in there too. By Woody, that was a nice.
Yeah.
Let's just take this thing and crank it up to 11 kind of moment.
I also liked how they were able to use Woody's voice box for him to talk to him. Because every time you see him talking, he's using his normal voice, but whenever they pull that cord, you hear the pre-recorded voices from the voice box. But I just thought it was neat that he was able to channel his voice box and say something completely different to Sid.
Yeah, it was a neat effect. Also stolen, I believe, from other things before it, but still, it was fun to see.
Rick, do you have any last things to say on this particular topic before we send off Woody and Buzz?
No, it was a real good setup for the next scene. I mean, they had the tools required in order to do what they needed to do in the next scene, and it was all cleverly done. It wasn't like, here's this match and you're just gonna have it because, like, nah, man, you got the match because that match is gonna light the fire, bro. Like, you're gonna be toast.
Oh, nice.
So, and Buzz is gonna is gonna reach for the sky. Okay, like it was like really, really, really clever. So it was really good writing.
Yeah. After the reveal and Buzz and Woody managed to get away, they steal a ride with RC. It's Potato Head that turns on Woody and kicks him out of the back of the truck. Now Woody and Buzz have to try to catch up to the moving van, and that's where we get the match in the rocket. And I gotta say, this was probably a very clever use of toys for a car chase sequence, and I felt even watching it now, it was very riveting and fun to watch. What did you think, Tim?
And I think it's interesting. Again, we got Mr. Potato Head that's trying to, throw shade all over Woody. Like, just let him go. We don't need him or whatever. And the rest of them kind of realize that, oh, no, he does have Buzz. He's trying to rescue him. And everybody kind of groups together to try to save them, and to help them. Although it almost doesn't happen because the Energizer Bunny apparently doesn't keep going in this one. And the batteries start to run out on the old RC car. And I think it's better than what they had planned originally, because where Barbie would have come into play, because originally it was supposed to be Barbie and her dream Corvette was supposed to come launching off the back of that truck and run down and rescue them and drive them to safety. So I think since they weren't able to secure the Barbie, toy, I think that it was great the way they, rewrote it. And I think this is a much better ending. It's just so much more dramatic, especially with the rocket and everything. So it's, it builds a lot of tension. I mean, as an adult, you enjoy it. As a kid, though, I mean, imagine yourself as a kid. I mean, it's got to be super suspenseful. Like, oh my God, are they going to make it? And then they light that rocket and they're like, oh, that's fantastic. Except rockets blow up. How's that going to work and everything? So I could just see as a kid just being, mesmerized by the whole scene. But it was really cute. Really well done. It's a nice wrap up to how they are rescued and get back with Andy and the rest of the toys.
Yeah, and I like that Buzz is able to do that throwback line when he first went flying around the room, and he says, "I'm not flying. I'm just falling with style." I thought that was a clever callback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's no To Infinity and Beyond, but
right.
Still maybe second best line.
Yeah.
Well, it actually might be his third best line, actually, now that I think about it, because I do like when he looks at him, he's like, "You're a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity." That's a pretty good line, too. Delivered. The way Tim Allen delivers that is just, so perfect.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of fun lines in this movie, besides To Infinity and Beyond. I always like the line when he's having tea and he just has that mental breakdown. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed a little bit earlier in the film. It's kind of relevant here because RC comes back when Woody is trying to get Buzz out of the way so he can have time with Andy. Woody uses RC car to bump Buzz out of the way, but Mr. Potato Head straight up pulls a Lassie and talks to RC car, and RC car doesn't say anything, but Mr. Potato Head understands everything. What? It was Woody? Woody's what the Buzz? That is not what he said. How did you know that?
Because they're the Jay and Silent Bob of the Toy Story world.
So, but yeah, the end sequence was really cool, man. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, especially with all the different layers. You had the dog chasing; they're trying to catch up. The batteries run out. The match went out. They had to go back to using the magnifying glass from the head, the helmet,
right,
type trick. It was like all the stuff that they had gone through, all the tribulation that they'd gone through, come full circle, and these characters learn things that they're able to use to help them in the end. So it was perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was a really well written story, and the fact that you have all the conflicts and everything, and like you said, they learn from their conflicts so that they could apply them to get away. That was really slick.
It was the match part that got me. Actually, that was my most childlike moment when he lights that match and then it blows out. I'm like, well, how are they going to save themselves now? I really had that moment where I just turned into a little kid. I'm like, how are they going to get to the truck now? I don't know. I completely had that moment as, where I turned back into, like 7-year-old Tim. How are they going to do it? I have no idea.
It was good, man. It was real good.
And, and I also like how it kind of wraps everything up and you get a moral out of the story. I think that's something that's lacking in a lot of movies nowadays, which I think makes it feel so wholesome and timeless in my opinion. But enough about me going on. Joey, what did you think of that end sequence? The
Buzz
the
was
rescue and the getaway.
Pretty harsh with that dog pulling his eyelids. I thought that was a bit much. Yeah, maybe there should be a disclaimer: kids, don't pull on your dog's eyelids.
Cartoon logic. All right, well, guys, that's pretty much Toy Story. So that leaves me to ask you this: is it worth taking an hour and 21 minutes off your death clock to watch this film? What do you think, Rick?
I think that this is a knockout movie. It's a very interesting take, in my opinion, on the story Indian in a Cover that was marketed to pretty much all audiences. It's super relatable to everyone's childhood, whether they be older adults, middle-aged, younger adults, kids, and it just keeps rotating. As kids get older, they'll watch it with their kids, and as kids are born, they'll grow up wanting to watch this because I think it's kind of timeless. It has pretty good visuals that's probably going to stand up to the test of time. It's got awesome sound, awesome music, awesome story. I mean, it's absolute knockout. So definitely, absolutely. If you haven't watched it yet, then you're missing out. It's a definite watch.
How about you, Tim? Is this worth taking time off your death clock?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just a great family film. All the characters are excellent in it. The voice actors really bring them to life. They every one of them, they just nailed. They found the right person to play the voice. They seem like they all interact well. The story is well written. It sucks you in. It's enjoyable at an adult level. It's enjoyable at a child's level. It has, a positive message. Like as Rick has pointed out, we are missing that in so many of the children's movies and programming that's out there today. So it's nice to see something that actually has a positive message for the youth in it. And I think it's a good time, and it's going to spawn, another 3 movies after this, and each one is fantastic in their own right. So even as Joy points out that, the CG is a little dated now, but some of the CG stuff that they're still putting out on a regular basis, like cartoon-wise, is not a whole lot better than this sometimes. I thought it still looked good, even on Blu-ray on my TV. I was like, this looks good. It really does look nice still. So I was completely pleased with it. I'd recommend it to anybody, and I'd watch it with them. Are you going to watch it? Yeah, I'm coming over. I'll watch it with you.
Well, how about you, Joey? You first you said it was kind of dated, but yet the story's still timeless. Does it still hold up? Is it still worth taking time off your death clock?
Absolutely. The humans just look less creepy with each sequel. So it's a very fast-paced movie. It goes by very quickly. I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed by watching this. It's worth noting that Toy Story 2 is a little better than Toy Story. Toy Story 3, probably the best one, and is a prison escape film. They up the ante with each one. They get in more and more Indiana Jones-esque levels of danger, and they really do peak with 3, and then 4's worth watching once, and it has its moments.
Well, I have to agree with all you guys. I think it is definitely worth taking time off your death clock. Even if you are a parent, you've watched it ad nauseum with your kids. I think every time you watch it, there's just little subtle things that you pick up throughout the movie. Everyone has beaten this horse to death practically, that it's got a good message. It's got good morals. It's wholesomeness. It's everything that you want to see in a family film. So, yes, I am right there with you guys. Hey, Tim. Have you noticed how long our episodes seem to go when we record?
Matt, of course I have. I'm one of the freaking editors, so yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we both have to deal with all the ums and the nos and the audio leveling, Don't get me started on Joey's long diatribes about bad horror movies.
Hey, those are well thought out opinions.
Okay. This is a 30-second ad. All right, Matt, what is your point?
Well, there's this really cool service out there called podedit.com where they will edit the podcast for you. Imagine you not having to spend hours listening to your own voice only to determine that it just doesn't flow right. The team at PodEdit will spend their time and energy bringing you a high-quality production edit.
All right, where can we get more info on this service, Matthew?
Well, it's right there in the name, podedit.com. If you love the podcast, but you don't always have time to edit, then check them out at podedit.com. And hey, tell them that M.A.M. sent you for a special 25% discount on your first 6 episodes.
Guys, really, Lloyd Kaufman is a freaking genius.
Okay, guys, well, that brings us to feedback. Hey, folks, we would love to hear from you, so please leave us some feedback. You can email our show at M.A.M.ReviewsPodcast@gmail.com, or you can have your email read right here on the show, or leave us a comment on YouTube or Spotify, and we'll discuss it. We'll bring it up. We'll tell you what we think of your comments right here on the air. So with that being said, gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to each one of you. Outside of Toy Story, what else have you been watching? Joey, lay it on me, man. What do you got going on?
A lot of soups. Campbell's and Peacemaker. I'm halfway through Peacemaker, and it just dropped yesterday. Gen V season 2. I'm almost halfway through that. They did a 3-episode drop, and now they're going to come out every week. I'll be watching those for quite some time. I haven't started watching the new season of Daryl Dixon, but I anticipate that I'll eventually get around to that. I don't think I watched any movies over the weekend. I think I was just binging nothing but Peacemaker all Sunday.
All Peacemaker, all the time, all John Cena, huh?
Yeah, I think I'm going to need a palate cleanser from all these superheroes.
Okay. Well, Tim, how about you? What YouTube videos on fixing your internet have you been watching lately?
Satellite's still down. Got my new one in yesterday, so hopefully I'll have real internet by the next time we talk. So I've been digging back into the DVD archives, going old school, and pulled out Prometheus. Never watched it, so since we're working our way towards a possible Aliens podcast upcoming for our Halloween special. Thought I should start getting in the mindset. So I thought let's go all the way back to the prequel and start there. I'm just going to kind of slowly work my way through it. And hopefully I'll be all kinds of ready and psyched up once the Aliens podcast comes around.
Awesome. Fantastic. I look forward to hearing more of what you thought about Prometheus. I had to say I was, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Prometheus, but I was surprised to find out that it was an alien film. Didn't know that going into it. And I was rather surprised and happy. All right, Rick, let me get my hands ready. Lay on me what lengthy, 27 character name anime are you watching right now?
Bro, I have not watched any anime recently. That is first, and it's even crazier than that. Okay, last time I was on the podcast, I was talking about watching The Wheel of Time season 3.
Oh, yes.
I was like, I think I'm going to listen to this audiobook, right? So legit, I burned through the whole of book 1 and book 2 of The Wheel of Time, and goodness gracious, it is such a tragedy that they messed up the TV show so bad. The books are so rich. They're just so good. There's so many things they could have, even if they didn't include half of the stuff, it still would have been better than what they did, because they just decided to just say it's Wheel of Time without even following anything at all. And I think that's what people are talking about right now with what the problem with Witcher is that they have all of the source material and they're just not using it. Same thing happened with Star Wars. They have all the source material and they're not using it. What the heck, man? What is going on? So I was very, very pleased with the audiobook, with the book 1 and book 2 of Wheel of Time. So it's the Eye of the World and the Dragon I think it's the Dragon Reborn. I'm listening to the third one. I'm about a third of the way through.
Nice.
And it's good. It's good. I did I have been keeping up on, Tim was talking about Prometheus. I have been keeping up with the TV show Alien. There's a episode pretty much every week, and it is good. The TV show Alien. Oh my God, you guys gotta watch it. It's good. It's very good. It's very good.
Now that's on Hulu, right?
It is on Hulu, and I want to say FX is the cable provider.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I did go into the movie theater. My wife, I wanted to see Demon Slayer Infinity Castle when it came out. I went to the movie theater the day it came out. It was last week. I went there because my wife wanted to go see a movie. And I was like, I guess we could go see a movie. And then she's like, well, I want to go see The Conjuring. And I was like, bro, like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not going to say no to The Conjuring. Conjuring is like one of my favorite type of horror. Joey, tell me you like Conjuring, bro.
1 and 2 are very watchable, and 3 was dog shit. What about this latest one?
I thought it was okay, man. I thought it was all right. It definitely wasn't Conjuring 1 and 2. It wasn't Annabelle level, but it was still pretty good. I thought it was pretty all right. You know what it kind of reminded me of? It was like The Nun, and better than La Llorona.
You want to know where I bought The Conjuring 1 and 2 and passed up on La Lorna or whatever and The Nun?
Dollar General?
Dollar Tree.
Oh,
bro, man, bro.
$1.25. They don't really have physical media anymore unless it's stuff they haven't sold. They just stopped showing up there. But yeah, the 1 and 2. I own Conjuring 1 and 2 and for $2.50.
all right. Well, what I've been watching. So it's Halloween's literally around the corner. We're gearing up towards our Halloween episodes. I found something on Netflix that the kids actually turned me on to, and that's a movie called Escape Room. I like escape rooms, so I figured, I'll sit here and I'll watch it, and it was pretty scary. I mean, it's not as torture-y as like Saw, but it's definitely got some tension to it, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. How do you get out of these rooms? And each character slowly dies in each room throughout the movie, and it was interesting, and there's like a thread that goes throughout that links everybody together, and I thought it was really cool. So if you want to kill an hour and 45 minutes on Netflix, check out Escape Room.
I forgot how it ended, so it couldn't have had that great of an ending if I can't fucking remember it, but I remember the rest of the movie. Did they do a sequel?
It looks like they're leaving it off for sequel, because there's a scene at the end where you see an airplane in a similar scenario, and you find out that 2 of the characters that survived the first escape room are now going to be flying to find the people that set them up.
Everything has to be a franchise.
Yes. All right, Tim, you want to take us home?
Thanks for listening to Middle Age Movie Reviews Podcast and our review of Toy Story. We hope we were able to make this story come to life for you, because without you, we would just be 4 lifeless dummies sitting behind our microphones. So please, give us some love by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, or leaving a comment.
Follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Have a comment or suggestion, then email the show at M.A.M.ReviewsPodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks. Stay cool, and bye, everyone.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.